MKMIX TV, sponsored by Network Rail.
I was born in the northeast of England in County Durham, and then my family moved to Harrogate in Yorkshire, where I went to the grammar school. Then I went on to University College London, and then I was privileged enough to be one of the first Kennedy Scholars to Massachusetts Institute of Technology. This was a scholarship set up after President Kennedy was assassinated, with funds raised from the British people to send people to Boston area, which was of course President Kennedy's hometown, where we went to university, so I was lucky to be that. And then when I came back, I did a variety of jobs, ended up working for Ford Motor Company for 20 years, and then for Mercedes-Benz for 10 years. After I retired from Mercedes, I believed that I've been very privileged in my life to be able to benefit from free education, and I believed I should plough some of that back into the community. And so I was asked eventually to be chair of a university, Brunel University, and then latterly chair of Milton Keynes Hospital, which performs a very vital role in the community here, needless to say. We went in 66, 67, so it was a little bit after Kennedy was assassinated, but we were the first, so we were very, very privileged to be entertained by the Kennedy family, Robert Kennedy, who was alive at the time before his assassination in turn. We met Jackie Kennedy and went down and played touch football on the grounds of their Hyannisport home. But more than that, it opened doors to see how America actually worked in politics, something I was very interested in, have been all my life. And so we were fated a bit because we were the first. Since then there have been 10 or 12 scholars every year going across, and it's a wonderful scholarship providing funds to study at MIT and Harvard Business School, and Radcliffe if you happen to be a woman. So those are open to anybody, and the variety of people that have gone just shows how inclusive it certainly is. I came with the job. Mercedes-Benz is based here. I was with Ford for 20 years in Essex, and then took the job at Mercedes. And originally we went to live in Northamptonshire because we thought, I'm a country boy really, that was the only place to get the country. And in fact, later on I found that you can do country better in the centre of Milton Keynes than you can in the countryside. It's funny, you can walk much easier in Milton Keynes. You're surrounded by fields and open spaces, but in the countryside, very often farmers plough up your footpaths. Walking on country roads is a disaster if you're not careful. So Milton Keynes, for me, is better country than the countryside. Well, I've actually lived here, now in Milton Keynes, the longest. We came in 91. And so here is the longest, and so this is it. You know, we plan to stay. It was funny, the retirement, at retirement we decided to move into the centre of Milton Keynes, where I now live in Woolstone, just down the canal from you. We were looking where to retire, and we realised all our activities were here. All our friends were here. We loved the area, we loved the people, we loved the variety of new things that Milton Keynes does. So this is where we go. And so people were a bit shocked, I must say. They say when you're retiring you go to the Lake District or Dorset or somewhere like that. No, we wanted to come to the centre of Milton Keynes and haven't regretted it. Well, I've been involved in a great variety. I spend a long time talking about them all in detail, but I've been involved in leading positions in Christ the Cornerstone, Milton Keynes Hospital, the Community Foundation, where I was chaired the Grants Committee, the Milton Keynes Equality Council, where I was vice chair of that when it was originally called Racial Equality, and during my time we changed it to All Equality. And I chaired MK Common Purpose, and I'm now chairing a thing called MK Arts for Health, Milton Keynes Arts for Health, which shows and demonstrates and fulfills to people the benefit that art can have actually on their physical health. Not just mental health, although that's a big part of it as well, but physical health too. I mean, for example, Nana, do you know that listening to 20 minutes of music that you like, and I'm sure Secklow Sounds does a lot of music that you like, actually improves your health? It gives you stronger resistance to pain, and improves healing, if that's what you need. So I'm involved with that, and I've been involved in other things at a lesser level, lesser in terms of my commitment and my involvement in the Higher Education Development Board, which has worked hard to get what is now going to be a university college here in Milton Keynes. And that's really a wonderful thing. And I'm now involved with older people in Probus, the Professional and Businessmen's Association, who are all my age, and also the University of the Third Age. That's something that should be really brought to the attention of your older listeners, and I'm sure you've got some older listeners. The University of the Third Age seeks to use the skills that people have got to teach others, to pass on that information, pass on those skills to people of the same sort of age, i.e. you're in the third age after work. And one thing I'm really involved with right now, and I've just come from a rehearsal, was the Third Age Players, where a group of us are putting on Blithe Spirit at the end of May at the Chrysalis Theatre. And this is a major task, because if you think of acting, the thing that it requires most of all is memory. And so the training of memory and keeping our memory active in this older generation to which I now belong is extremely important to us. It's really just amongst ourselves that we pass it on, but it is anybody that feels they've got something that other people would be interested in, they can set up a group. Now some of the groups are rambling and line dancing and that sort of thing, which is very important for older people as well, to be active physically, but to be active mentally too. So there's bridge groups and there's learning of all sorts, arts, science, astronomy, all of which are being offered by people who know what they're doing, so they're getting something out of it because they're teaching and passing on the knowledge, but other people get it. And of course it's relatively cheap, 50p or a pound for most sessions, and that is really important these days to get hold of. And so it's something that is well worth looking at. We, needless to say, I have a website, so that's the University of the Third Age. We have an office in the hospital, and we do a variety of functions, bidding for money. Like all things these days, you've got to bid for the money, and we have gained a grant called Ask for Prescription, which is involved with the GPs in the area. If they believe that some of their patients could benefit from arts workshop, the therapeutic effect of doing something creative, something artistic, then you can actually get it effectively on prescription. They recommend them to us and come to our workshops. As well, we provide artwork, the hospital artwork, if you're familiar with that, going around the hospital. There is actually into the millions now of pounds worth of art on the walls of the hospital. And we put it there because we think that it actually helps people in their atmosphere and approach to the hospital, which is a very stressful situation, isn't it, the hospital? And so you can get it a bit soothing with art around you. But in addition, we sing, we act for patient groups. So a great variety of activity, which we aim to keep going over the course, got to keep bidding for the funding, and if we keep getting the funding, we'll keep doing the work. Well, I'd say come and look at us, and I'd say on advice, if they actually come here, get involved. It's a very inclusive place. I didn't actually emphasize that many of the activities that I do have crossed all the racial, faith barriers, or faith boundaries, let's call them that, because they're not barriers. They're only barriers if people allow them to become barriers. And so many of our friends in the are in other faith communities and other races. So we're inclusive. Equally, if you think of the 7 strands of diversity these days, Milton Keynes cuts across all of them. And so you can get involved, whatever your age, whatever your disability. When you think of the ability to get around Milton Keynes for the disabled, it's huge compared to, say, let's say Northampton. You can't take a motorised trolley into Northampton Centre. I think it would be very dangerous. But in Milton Keynes, people can get around. So you can get involved, whatever background you come from, whatever disability, whatever age, in
whoever
all
you
the
are,
activities.
basically.
Whoever you are,
Yeah.
absolutely right. Well, just come and look. come and see for yourself, really, because the things that are done here, which are not done elsewhere, are quite a lot, and it is just doesn't live up to its reputation. Come and see, judge for yourself. Well, I see it certainly as continued growth, and I was interested to hear what Wayne said about the possible risks of growth. But growth you must do, and the city is slated to do some. The growth is vibrant. It has a really can-do attitude. I've mentioned the university. That's a good example of people having a vision and actually getting round to doing something about it and delivering it. So I see that sort of activity just going on. And I think it's going to be a really good example to people across the country of inclusiveness and the destruction of barriers between people. And so that's a very encouraging future that I see for Milton Keynes. I hope I'm around to see as much of it as I possibly can. Blithe Spirit is a well-known play in many respects, written by Noel Coward in the height of the war when Britain needed cheering up a bit. So it's called an improbable farce. Now I can't tell you too much about the story because it'll destroy the atmosphere. But it's put on by people of my age, and the challenge of doing that is really immense. We're doing it at the end of May at the Chrysalis Theatre. It's on the Chrysalis website. It's in May 22nd, 23rd and 24th. And we'd be very happy to see you there, and we can promise you a fun and quite surprising evening.
MKMIX TV, sponsored by Network Rail.